Christos anesti.
Christos anesti.
Christ is risen.
Truly is risen.
Oh, what are we going to do today? Christos voskresti.
Uistinu voskresi.
I picked the right one. So today's gospel, let's dive right in. It's a gospel that I think many are familiar with. It's a gospel that I believe is pretty well seated within our hearts, not simply because it's one of the longer gospel messages that we receive, but I think it's also probably one of the more intimate gospel messages that we receive within our church. It's intimate because really we don't often see so much time dedicated to Christ and one other person, right? Oftentimes, if there's an interaction between Christ and one other person, he's there with a crowd, and so he's not just interacting with the other person, but he's also kind of interacting with the crowd. Or if there is this one-on-one sort of thing, it's kind of like, go find him, go send me, go do this, and then we're on to the next part of the narrative. However, today we stay within that narrative, within that interaction between Christ and the Samaritan woman for an entire 40 verses, which is, I mean, really, there's no time within the entirety of all four Gospels that devotes this much of a narrative to an interaction between Christ and one other person. And I think that perhaps this is why it's so well known to us, because it's also so unique. It kind of stands out within the gospel narrative as a whole. A lot of times when we speak about this gospel, we immediately begin focusing in on the person of the Samaritan woman. And I'm not going to fault myself or any other preacher for doing so, because again, who this person is, when we really get into it, it also really makes this a standout interaction because of who the Samaritan woman was. But I'm going to take into the assumption here that you've heard about who the Samaritan woman is and why it's a strange thing, even stranger than this large portion of the gospel to be devoted, that it's an even stranger thing that it should be Christ speaking specifically to this woman. So I want to zoom out for a moment and let us consider this gospel narrative of the Samaritan woman. Let us consider it in the context of Paschal Tide, right? Which I don't know that we've talked about it in this way before, but Paschal Tide is really just a fancy way of referring to the time period after Pascha, before Ascension, before Pentecost, okay? And so when we consider where this gospel narrative lands within Paschal Tide, and we think about those gospels that preceded it, it seems like we keep getting further and further away from Christ when it comes to be the person or people that we're focusing on with the Sunday gospel. Take, for example, the first gospel of Paschal Tide on a Sunday. Who are we talking about? Who are we talking about? The first Sunday gospel after Pascha. Who are we talking about? The first Sunday gospel after Pascha. Not the Paschal gospel, after Pascha. Paschal Tide. Thomas. Very good. Thank you. Absolutely. You all should be kicking yourselves. Come on. Thomas. The Sunday of St. Thomas. This is the one that we celebrate most often, right? Immediately following Pascha. We have the Sunday of St. Thomas, oftentimes referred to the Sunday of Doubting Thomas. Who was Thomas? Thomas was within that close-knit group of the 12, right? Thomas was one of those who is immediately connected to Christ. There's an easy tree that we can draw here of here's Christ, here's the 12, right? And the connection is clear to us. There's a very adjacent person to Christ within the person of Thomas. Now we go a little bit further. What's the second Sunday after Pascha? Oh, you didn't know you were going to get quizzed today? Why did you come to church? Come on. The second Sunday. Who? The Mirofores, right? The myrrh-bearing women. Okay, so not within that immediate group of the 12, but an extension of that immediate group of the 12. And there's a special extension to that immediate group of the 12. Why? Because who's there? The Theotokos. The Theotokos is one of the myrrh-bearing women. So we're still talking about a group of people, right, that are still very close to Christ. However, a little bit further outside, if we can say that, than the disciples, just because simply, right, these disciples, the 12 disciples, were named. The 12 disciples were handpicked, they were selected. And so we have this relationship of Christ's mother, the Theotokos, contained now within that second group, not to bring it down, but to bring it up, right? To say that there's still a very close tie here, right? Okay, so the third Sunday now, last Sunday, who was the focus of the gospel? Thank you. Somebody's following the calendar, right? The paralytic. One who we recognize now as having faith, but maybe that faith was a little bit misplaced. We know that this is a person of faith because we know that the whole reason that this person was found at that sheep pool in Bethesda, of Bethesda rather, right? The whole reason that he was there is because he believed. He believed that that angel of God was going to come down, stir up that water, and he was going to win the lottery someday. He believed that just by touching that water after the angel of God stirred it up, he was going to be healed miraculously. And so he was a believer. So again, even still, right, we're making a progression here. We have essentially a believer now outside of the Mirofores who obviously were believers, right? Or the disciples who obviously were believers. But now we have somebody who's a believer that's a little bit of a misunderstood believer. Then we arrive at today. We have today somebody who is not really a believer because the Samaritans, while they understood the Judaic God a little bit, it's not the God that they really believed in. They understood a lot of the Judaic references because they themselves were kind of a part of that Judaic tribe for a little bit, but then they shot off. They kind of developed their own sort of theology and dogma. And so not only is she not a Judean, but she's also Samaritan. She's not of the tribe. Those first three categories, absolutely and completely of the tribe of Israel, right? They're all worshiping the same God. They're all really kind of worshiping probably in the same way. However, now we have a complete and total foreigner who doesn't really even have the same religious perspective. And what is the message? What is the message that we're given in all four of these? In all four of these, we're given this message. No matter where you are on this journey, you come to me and you receive drink. You could be one who was close to me and now doubts. You come to me and drink. You could be ones who believe in me. And so much so that you believe that you need to do for me what it is that our faith says that we need to do. But yet you still didn't really believe my message, because if you believed my message, then you would have believed that I would have not suffered that death. And you wouldn't need to give me these burial rites. But you're coming to me and I'm going to give you drink. You believe in God the Father. You think you understand him. You think you know what he's about, but you really don't. You've got it misconstrued. You're not really there. You're just kind of going through it again because it's popular. But even you can come to me and receive drink. And even those who don't believe in him who sent me, even those who are so far on the outskirts, even those who are shunned by society, even you can come to me and receive drink. And so we're told, essentially, by the gospel narrative as a whole, and we really always have to be thinking about it like this. We can't segregate. We can't think of it as one instance, another instance, and they have nothing to do with another. We're in the season of Paschaltide, which means they're all connected. They're all intended to be drawn together as one great, massive narrative, right? And so when we consider this great, massive narrative, what are we being told? What should we be receiving here? We're being told, essentially, it doesn't matter how close we think we are, or the nearness of our association to Christ. We could be completely far off, and we could be totally close by. We could be right next to him. And it doesn't matter, because it doesn't mean that just by being right next to him, all of a sudden it's all opened up to me, it's all given to me, and I get it and totally understand it. Nor does it mean that by being far away from him, he's going to deny it. So, clearly from today's gospel narrative, neither gender, nor race, nor even faith background really matter here. Because if you come to Christ and you ask him, can you give me a taste of those living waters? I've received an invitation from you, and I'd like to accept that invitation. Then what he will say in response is absolutely, yes, yes, you can receive the living waters. You can partake of that which promises something that is eternal, of that which is something outside of just this physical existence. Because when we really think about these constructs that we're talking about here, these are constructs that are very specific to this physical existence. And right in this point, we're essentially being told what is necessary. What is necessary in order for us to come to this place where not only is Christ trying to engage with us, but we are engaging with him. We're entering into that as a relationship. Are we thirsting? Are we thirsting? It's a legitimate question. Because if we're sitting here and we're saying, well, you know, I can tell you that I'm parched. I can tell you that I am parched by anxiety that overwhelms me because of what this world puts on me. I can tell you that I am parched because the relationships in my life are complicated. And I don't know how to navigate them. I can tell you that I am parched because I am looking for something that I cannot quite put my finger on. and can't find it anywhere. I can't find it in the self-help books. I can't find it with yoga. I can't find it with working out. I can't find it with drugs. I can't find it in just mixing in and around with other people. But I know that I'm still looking for it. I know that I'm still wanting it, and I can't quite find it. Or perhaps I'm parched, but my pride is keeping me from admitting that I'm parched. It's keeping me from saying openly and honestly that I do thirst, that I don't have it all figured out, that I don't really know what this is about, and that I'm actually constantly questioning my faith. But I know that if I show that it's just going to throw off my entire existence, or at least that's what we think. And so perhaps one of these kinds of being parched you identify with, or perhaps you're parched by something else, something that is a part of this worldly existence, something that pains you, something that you suffer from. And so, yet again, we need to identify that we're not just parched, but that we thirst. And in identifying that we thirst, we need to approach him. We need to approach him through his church. We need to approach him through his teaching. We need to approach him through his word, through the Bible, through the reading of Scripture. We need to approach him. If we're able, if we're a part of it, if we're a part of this church, then we need to approach him through the sacramental life, which is offered to us. And we approach him acknowledging that he is exactly as it says. He is the fountain of life. And that not only is he the fountain of life, but he has completely despoiled death. This cannot be emphasized enough in our existence today. All of these pursuits which claim to be life-giving, bringing about a fountain of immortality, all fail. They all completely and totally pale in comparison to what is being offered by him through his resurrection. And so if this is the case, if we thirst, if we are willing to acknowledge that he's the fountain, then we need to approach that fountain in all humility and with some sincerity and ask that question: why do I thirst? And how? How, Lord, how can you help me quench that thirst with life everlasting? Αγαπητοί και αδερφοί, σήμερα ακούμε το γνωστό Ευαγγέλιο για την Σαμαρίτιδα. Συχνά εστιάζουμε στο πρόσωπο αυτής της γυναίκας και ενώ αυτό είναι σημαντικό, πρέπει επίσης να λάβουμε υπόψη το πλαίσιο της αφήγησης. Φτάσαμε στην Τετάρτη Κυριακή του Πάσχα, καθώς και στην Κυριακή μετά τα μέσα της Πεντηκοστής. Κάθε εβδομάδα φαινομενικά απομακρυνόμαστε από τον Χριστό σε προσωπική σχέση. Πρώτα ακούμε για τον μαθητή του Θωμά. Μετά για τις μυροφόρες γυναίκες. Μετά για έναν πιστό στην πύλη το προβάτο. Και σήμερα για έναν ξένο. Αλλά το μήνυμα παραμένει το ίδιο. Όποιος διψάει Έλα να πεις. Αδερφοί μου, αυτή είναι μια πρόσκληση για τη συμμετοχή στην Ανάστασή Του. Γιατί όπως ακούμε σήμερα, ούτε το φύλο, η φυλή, ούτε και η θρησκεία θα τον εμποδίσουν να ασχοληθεί μαζί μας. Αλλά πρέπει να είμαστε ανοιχτοί σε αυτή τη δεσμεύση. Ομοιώς δεν μπορούμε να υποθέσουμε ότι οποιαδήποτε ταξινόμηση μας φέρνει πιο κοντά από οποιοδήποτε άλλη. Εάν δεν πρόκειται να αποδεχθούμε την πρόσκλησή Του. Και πάλι λοιπόν κάνουμε το ερώτημα, διψάμε για αυτό το ζωντανό νερό. Είμαστε ξεραμένοι υπό υπερηφάνεια, αχλός, πόνος ή κάποια κοσμική ύπαρξη. Αν ναι, πρέπει να Τον πλησιάσουμε αναγνωρίζοντας ότι είναι η πηγή της ζωής. Ο θάνατος έχει λαιλατηθεί και αναζητούμε Αυτόν που μας αναζητά. Του Κυρίου δεηθόμεν.
Kyrie eleison, Kyrie eleison, Pater Agia, ευδοήσον.
Ευλογία Κυρίου ελέος αυτού ευλαγή αφημάστια του Θεία χάρη και φιλανθρωπία πάντοτε νυν και αεί και εις τους αιώνας των αιώνων. Glory to you, O Christ our God, glory to you. May He who rose from the dead, Christ our true God, through the intercessions of His all-pure, all-immaculate, Holy Mother, the power of the precious and life-giving cross, the protection of the honorable bodiless powers of heaven, the supplications of the honorable glorious prophet and foreigner John the Baptist, the holy glorious praiseworthy apostles, the holy glorious triumphant martyrs of our righteous and God-bearing fathers, of the holy great prophet Elias, of our father among the saints John Chrysostom, Archbishop of Constantinople, of the holy righteous ancestors of God, Joachim and Anna, of the holy martyr Isidore of Chios, whose memory we celebrate today, and of all of the saints. Have mercy on us and save us, for He is good and loves mankind. Χριστός ανέστη εκ νεκρών θανάτου, θάνατον πατήσας και της εν της μοιασήν ζωήν χαρισάμενος.
Αληθώς ανέστη ο Κύριος.
May the blessings and protection of the resurrection Lord be upon each and every one of you. Please be seated. First and foremost, wait one second. First and foremost, Happy Mother's Day. The only reason why it's a Happy Mother's Day is because Christ is risen from the dead. Truly, He is risen from the dead. Oh, so you don't agree? It's not a Happy Mother's Day because Christ is risen from the dead? That's why I think it's a Happy Mother's Day. So, it's a Happy Mother's Day because Christ is risen from the dead.
Truly He is risen.
Very good. Okay, I've been asked one more time to explain this to you all right? So please, listen. I don't share with you what it is that I do because it's between me and God. However, what I give of my income, okay, this is referred to as stewardship. It is the offering that is made from my income every year, okay? This is my stewardship offering. The baskets, the trays, they're not for stewardship. Stewardship is given maybe on a monthly basis, maybe you give it all at once. These baskets are not for stewardship. This is extra. Χρήματα, okay? This is everything else that I have received this week that was outside of that salary, okay? This is a portion of that. And like I said, this portion varies, okay? Sometimes it's a little, sometimes it's a lot. But the fact of the matter is it's a portion of what I have been given. Freely I have received, so freely we give. Okay? So, what goes in the basket? Donations, not stewardship. If you want stewardship to be offered, if you have those little stewardship envelopes, you can deliver those to whoever's at the pancari. What is being offered here is extra, okay? It's really just a matter of two things. Number one, it's for our accounting purposes, okay? Because really what ends up happening, there's an extra step here when we have to sort through what's offered and have a stewardship pile and an offering pile, okay? So we're trying to save our beloved parish council members a little bit of work here. And additionally, right, we have to get in the right mindset here. I know that we have been on this idea of like, you know, it's all the same, right? It all goes to the same place. It's all in the same pocket, blah, 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 blah. It's not though, right? Because again, when we think about what stewardship is a portion of the base, okay? That base which we receive, we give of that base. Why do we give up that base? Because, again, it's between us and God, right? This is a relationship. Yeah, okay, we need the things in the church, okay? But it's more than that. It's about entering into a relationship. It's why we don't have prices at the pancari, because this is not a transactional relationship. It's not I walk into the church, I give my dollar, and I get my candle. No. I offer whatever it is that I want to offer. The candle, are you kidding me? First of all, you're being fooled if you think one of those candles costs $1. It's 19 cents a candle. It's a 100% upcharge. It's an offering. We make the offering. Why do we make the offering? Because we have received so much. And we continue to receive so much. So throughout your week, we're thinking, what can I give in addition to what I have already offered through stewardship? That's what the baskets are for. I hope the parish council doesn't make me explain this again, because it's just going to get longer and longer every time that we do it. Please come. Okay, yet again, it's a happy Mother's Day to you all. Here in the Orthodox Christian Church, it's Mother's Day every day. Okay, thank you very much. Tispanagias, right? We love our Holy Mother, and we should reflect the love of the Mother towards all of the mothers, right? Mothers in this life, whether they're spiritual mothers or biological mothers, okay? We love them. We care for them, and the love that we're shown by the Theotokos and that we try to show to the Theotokos, it's a similar kind of love here, okay? So happy Mother's Day to you all, number one. Number two, we have one service that's offered extra this week, okay? And I really want you to try and make an effort to either be here physically or virtually, though I think physically is much better. That service that is going to be offered on Tuesday, the 16th, May 16th. You ready? I'm going to scandalize all of you with this. May 16th, we're offering Orthros and Divine Liturgy for St. Brendan the Voyager. St. Brendan is an Irish saint, Irish Orthodox. It's important. We're so close to McLean. McLean Avenue is full of a bunch of people who believe that St. Brendan is a Catholic saint. And that's not totally untrue, but he's Orthodox as well. And this is a saint that we should be celebrating. This saint, I will have you know, without giving too much away on Tuesday, okay, but this saint was probably one of the first to document a travel from Ireland over to North America, well before Christopher Columbus ever even thought about it. Okay? So this is not just a saint who is important to us within our hagiography, but this is this is an incredible historical figure here. Okay, and the beautiful man, and again, we can talk more about what he did and why he did it on Tuesday, but I encourage you, if on your way to work, 8 a.m., we're going to be celebrating the Orthros, Divine Liturgy, probably around 9 o'clock. Invite your Irish friends. Seriously. They're not a bunch of Samaritans over there. I know you have them. Invite your Irish friends to come and celebrate together. Really. I've told you before, I'm a quarter Irish. We need to embrace this. It's a beautiful thing, okay? I'm not as Greek as some of you think that I am. And that's good. It's good. It's okay, right? It's a part of our tradition. So, with all of that being said, invite an Irish friend. Tuesday morning, 8 a.m., 9 p.m. We'll be done. We're out of here by 10:30, right, Jordan? Yeah, absolutely. Okay, 2 more things. Jordan, our chant instructor, who has set out this beautiful task ahead of him to essentially get a group of people together to learn Byzantine chant, so that way in the not-so-distant future we're going to have people who are capable of making their way through a divine liturgy on their own, okay, without him. He's literally in the business of putting himself out of business, has also decided, and again, with whatever blessing I have to offer, that blessing is coming from the Lord, but to also offer a book study on Wounded by Love by Elder Porphyrios, now Saint Porphyrios, okay? And so this is a great opportunity to take in some of that living water that we were talking about, some of that stuff that we probably don't know about within our faith, some of that beauty that is offered, some of that healing power, right, which is given to us through the living water of Christ, and it puts it into a book. And we're going to be reading it, studying it, talking about it, and it will benefit our community. You better believe that it will. I hope that you're able to partake in that as well. Finally, yet again, as an extension of our love for mothers everywhere, the Goyans are standing at the back with flowers, which will be offered to every mother. And again, even if you don't have biological children, you probably are a mother to somebody in some way. So please, don't hesitate to take a flower from them. Essentially what we're saying is if you're a woman, you're capable of being a mother. Again, whether spiritually or biologically, or hey, perhaps both. Okay, so this is honoring all mothers of all varieties. Please take a flower in celebration and as an extension of the blessings of our beloved church here at Prophet Elias. I'm done talking. I do also want to just say, my mother, okay, my mother, the Irish one, okay. My mother is in our midst. Calliope, Kelly, would you please stand up so everybody can see you? Everybody give her a round of applause. Okay. She had to put up with me and continues to put up with me, and I am ever grateful for her and for her extending her grace and her love always towards me, no matter how much of a screw-up I may be. Okay, so if you have any praises to offer, my mother, okay, if you have any complaints, my father's seated right next to her, okay? So with that being said, I'll turn off Big Brother over here. Please come forward to receive your andizero from the sides, okay, up the middle, and then all mothers of all kinds will receive a flower from us to you. Happy Mother's Day. Christos Anesti.